What's up, everybody, and welcome to Read the Bible with me. I'm Stan Jr., and today we're looking at 1 Kings chapter 3. If you're new here, go ahead and click subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification bell. If you are a Bible Club member, first, let me just say thank you so much for supporting this ministry with that $10 a month gift. It allows us to send Bibles to people that are persecuted Christians who can't get their hands on them because of the government system that they live in, under and in. And it allows us to send missionaries to the mission field around the world so that we can accomplish what God sent us on earth to accomplish. Amen. So, chapter 3 of the book of 1 Kings. Let's read. It says, Solomon made a marriage alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had finished building his own house and the house of the Lord and the wall around Jerusalem. The people were sacrificing at the high places. However, because no house had yet been built for the name of the Lord, Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and made offerings at the high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place Solomon used to offer 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, Ask what I shall give you. And Solomon said, You have shown great and steadfast love to your servant David my father, because he walked before you in faithfulness and righteousness and in uprightness of heart toward you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne this day. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of David my father. Although I am but a little child, I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a great people, too many to be numbered or counted for multitude. Give your servant therefore an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this your great people? It pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this. And God said to him, Because you have asked this, and have not asked for yourself long life or riches or life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right. Behold, I now do according to your word. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before you, and none like you shall arise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that no other king shall compare with you all your days. And if you walk in my statutes and my ways, keeping my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days. So we see here that Solomon asked for wisdom when he could have asked for a long life. And the Lord states that you could have asked for a long life, you could have asked for riches, but he asked for wisdom, and he could have asked for the life of his father back. Never thought about that. I'm sure he loved his father David, but he didn't even ask for that. He asked that the Lord would help him. Help him govern his people properly. And God really respected that. He loved that he asked that. And so Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. Then he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant for the Lord of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings and peace offerings, and made a feast for all his servants. Then two prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. And the one said, Oh, my lord, this woman and I live in the same house, and I give birth to a child while she was in the house. Then on the third day after I gave birth, this woman also gave birth, and we were alone. There was no one else with us in the house, only we two were in the house. And this woman's son died in the night, because she lay on him. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while your servant slept, and laid him at her breast, and laid her dead son at my breast. When I rose in the morning to nurse my child, behold, he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning, behold, he was not the child that I had borne. But other women said, No, the living child is mine, and the child is yours. See, the one that was wrong didn't have much to say to her argument or state her case. The first said, no, the dead child is yours, and the living child is mine. Thus they spoke before the king. Then the king said, the one says, this is my son that is alive, and your son is dead. And the other says, no, but your son is dead, and my son is the living one. And the king said, bring me a sword. So a sword was brought before the king. And the king said, divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then the woman whose son was alive said to the king, because her heart yearned for her son, O my lord, give her a living child, and by no means put him to death. But the other said, he shall be neither mine nor yours. Divide him. Then the king answered and said, give the living child to the first woman, and by no means put him to death. She is his mother. And all Israel heard of the judgment of the king that he had rendered. And they stood in awe of the king, because they perceived that the wisdom of God was in him to do, listen to this, justice. You have the wisdom of God in your life to do something, and this is justice. The word wisdom in the book of Proverbs, which Solomon wrote partially, it's called akama. And that word means applied wisdom or applied knowledge, meaning to use what God has given you. Apply it. It's one thing to have knowledge. It's another thing to apply it. Akma, Hebrew word for wisdom, applied knowledge. And so that was chapter 3 of the book of of First Kings, about Solomon. Now we're talking about him, and we're talking about his wisdom here, how wise he was. And so we're going to be talking more about Solomon as the days go on, because we're reading First Kings right now. And I pray that God blesses you and allows you to read this entire Bible with me. All right, I love you. Thank you for your support if you are a Bible Club member. And next time I see you, we'll be reading chapter 4 of the book of First Kings. Peace.